Ahead on Q2, a sneak peek behind bars.
If you're not a violent felony offense or currently a threat to the public, patrol isn't bringing you in anymore.
A look inside Yellowstone County's new jail facility as it nears completion. Plus,
I'm Jonathan Ambarian in Helena, where a district court judge heard arguments on whether he should halt a complaint that could lead to the suspension of Public Service Commissioner Brad Molnar.
And the future of vaccines.
It does put at risk our children. It puts at risk others who need these vaccines. And it takes us into a very dangerous place in public health.
The former CDC director raises her concerns in Washington. We'll have the latest. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Work continues on the new $6 million expansion of the Yellowstone County Detention Facility. As we've reported, that short-term hold facility will help solve an overcrowding issue, adding nearly 9,000 square feet to the western side of the building. For the first time, our Charlie Kleps gets a look inside the jail that will soon be home to non-violent criminals.
A year ago, when I stood right here, all you could see behind me was a pile of dirt. But now that clearly has changed with this facility nearing completion, and it's aiming to fill a major need. The work is steadily underway.
There might be a few people still doing a little paint touch-ups and some cleaning, but
the final product is close to being a reality.
this is what's more described as a linear style jail.
These long hallways, an extension at the Yellowstone County Detention Facility, dedicated completely to short-term holds.
It got frustrating being a patrol officer, dealing with the same people on a daily basis.
Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office Captain Brandon Smart says it'll fill a crucial need, giving the facility enough space to hold nonviolent criminals who in the past would have been released.
So we got to the point that if you're not a violent felony offense or currently a threat to the public, patrol wasn't bringing you in anymore.
And we did not have any opportunity to put them in jail and hold them accountable.
Billings Police Chief Rich St. John echoed Smart's frustration.
We'd arrest the same people over and over and over again. There were no consequences. Extremely frustrating for the officer, extremely frustrating for our citizens to see.
But in a few weeks, that will no longer be the case.
Here's a look at what a cell looks like.
32 new short-term holding cells have been added onto the west side of the detention facility.
This will give the tools of arrest back to patrol.
Yeah, we're very excited here at the police department. This has been a project long overdue.
And while St. John and others are excited, they know there's more work to be done with the entire detention facility still far over capacity.
That conversation continues. Yellowstone County Detention Facility is terribly small for this population and the work that we have to do here.
Still, it's a step in the right direction.
Certainly going to benefit the police department and ultimately the citizens, and that's what it's all about.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
We're learning the corporate owners were a no-show for the tenants at Rose Park Plaza Apartments. We told you last week how residents at the complex were forming a tenant union after their complaints of mold, holes in the walls, and peeling floorboards went unanswered. Benjamin Finnegan, an organizer with the National Tenant Union Federation, says Capital Realty Group failed to show up for a Zoom meeting on Friday to try and negotiate the tenants' demands. However, the tenants do have a meeting set for tomorrow with the regional asset manager, who Finnegan says may have the power to make some repairs happen and improve conditions.
Here's a live look over towards Sydney this afternoon, where we had some rain showers earlier. We shift over our view towards Miles City. Things actually starting to clear out. You picked up some decent rainfall along the way, but that's helped to cool the temperatures down a bit as well. You can see this line of showers and thunderstorms that is continuing to sink along this line here across eastern Montana. So Billings, we're off towards the west of where this main line is, but the potential for some showers and storms. You can see the frequent lightning along with this and a few areas of gusty winds. But this is where our focus is going to be here in the short term. Showers and storms into the eastern plains. All of this shifting away for a different picture for the weekend. We're going to let you know about that with the forecast details coming up.
The Montana Commission that regulates utilities has been embroiled in controversy for weeks over an investigation into their president. Well, now a judge will decide whether to continue blocking Governor Greg Gianforte from suspending Commissioner Brad Molnar. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian was in the courtroom and has more.
The disputes among members of the Montana Public Service Commission has been playing out in commission meetings and in the media. And on Tuesday, it played out here in the Lewis and Clark County Courthouse. PSC President Brad Molnar is under investigation over allegations of inappropriate conduct in the workplace. From the beginning, he's claimed the entire investigation is unlawful. Vice President Jennifer Fielder signed on to a letter last month from the PSC team that handles workplace complaints, saying that Molnar was interfering with the investigation and asking Governor Greg Gianforte to temporarily suspend him to allow the work to continue. Molnar secured a temporary restraining order preventing his suspension, and he's now asking for a longer-term injunction. Molnar's attorney, Matthew Monforton, argued the complaint isn't valid because the PSC has rules requiring a hearing and 4 out of 5 commissioners' support to send a complaint to the governor.
If Commissioner Fielder wants her complaint to be backed by the prestige, by the imprimatur of the PSC, then she needs to follow the rules of the PSC.
Natasha Jones, an attorney representing Fielder, argued the letter wasn't from the PSC as a whole, and there's no specific requirement that a complaint come from the full commission for the governor to consider it.
The underlying investigation is not complete, in large part because of the activities of Commissioner Molnar.
Throughout the process, Molnar has argued there are political motivations behind the investigation. Monforton said Tuesday that removing him would sideline the commissioner with the most experience, just before major regulatory decisions like the upcoming merger of Northwestern Energy.
If Commissioner Molnar were to be suspended on the basis of that complaint, Commissioner Molnar can't retroactively perform the duties that had been entrusted to him by the voters.
Jones said it's unreasonable to claim there's any relationship to the commission's regulatory work.
Complaints were made about the workplace conduct of Commissioner Molnar. That started months ago. There is absolutely no relationship between this situation and Northwestern Energy.
Judge Mike Menahan said the parties in this case are going to submit additional written briefs, so he likely won't make a ruling in the case until mid-October. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
The Federal Reserve announced the first interest rate cut of the year today. Policymakers voted to lower a key interest rate 1/4 percentage point, and in doing so, they signaled 2 more cuts are likely later this year. That move is designed to keep the economy growing by making it less expensive to borrow money. Economists say that could encourage businesses to hire more workers and bolster the labor market. This is the first rate cut in 9 months, even though President Trump has put enormous pressure on the Fed to reduce borrowing costs. The president kicked off an unprecedented second state visit to the UK with a royal welcome at Windsor Castle. The trip is a mix of royal pageantry, diplomacy, and business deals, with the U.S. and UK announcing a new tech partnership. Natalie Brand has more details.
A royal charm offensive as President Trump and the First Lady arrived at Windsor Castle, joining King Charles and Queen Camilla for a carriage procession. The pomp and pageantry included 1,300 members of the British military, 120 horses, and royal bands. This trip is an unprecedented second state visit, but it's also about business. This week, the U.S. and UK announced a new technology partnership with joint efforts that focus on nuclear energy and artificial intelligence. U.S. tech giants, including Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Google, have pledged more than $40 billion in investments.
Tremendous opportunity in economic growth, in social services, advancing science, you name it. And that special U.S.-UK technology relationship is not something to be taken lightly.
But not everyone in the UK is embracing the relationship. Demonstrators gathered outside Windsor Castle ahead of the president's arrival.
Trump doesn't represent Britain, doesn't represent our values, and we don't agree with all the horror that he's caused to many lives.
Tuesday, 4 people were arrested after an old picture of Trump and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was projected on the royal residence. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And there were some unsettling moments on President Trump's flight to England as a Spirit Airlines flight had to be told to get out of the way of Air Force One. Spirit Flight 1300 was flying towards Air Force One over Long Island yesterday, with the planes flying parallel, only 8 miles apart. That incident left air traffic controllers repeatedly telling the pilots to pay attention and change course. The FAA says the 8-mile separation is not a break of regulations, but closer than the two planes were meant to be. Spirit tells CBS News that the pilots followed instructions and landed uneventfully, but adds that safety is always their top priority. The fired former head of the CDC told a Senate committee her side of the story today about why she was let go less than a month on the job. She also expressed concern about Thursday's scheduled meeting of a key vaccine advisory panel and what it could mean for the future of vaccines. Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Former CDC Director Susan Menares told the lawmakers she's nervous about this week's advisory panel meeting that could change vaccine recommendations, and she expressed concern about politics influencing decisions at the agency.
It does put at risk our children. It puts at risk others who need these vaccines, and it takes us into a very dangerous place in public health.
The vaccine panel was overhauled by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Menares says she was fired from the CDC because she refused to approve vaccine guidance without scientific evidence and would not dismiss career scientists without cause.
I will stand behind scientific integrity with every decision I ever make.
At a contentious Senate hearing earlier this month, Kennedy denied Menares' account.
I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no.
Some Republican lawmakers who are also physicians echoed Kennedy's skepticism about the CDC.
I think the CDC is the cause of vaccine hesitancy, that you are the problem.
Does the COVID vaccine reduce the rate of death for children under 18?
It can.
Once again, it can. That's a ridiculous answer. No, it doesn't.
Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who's also a doctor, noted Menares' firing came less than a month after she was confirmed by the Senate, with Secretary Kennedy praising her, quote, unimpeachable scientific credentials.
Did we fail? Was there something we should have done differently?
In a statement, an HHS spokesperson said Menares' remarks to the Senate committee have factual inaccuracies and leave out important details. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.